Hey everyone, this is SM Pratt, and fine, we're gonna do it. We're gonna talk about Hidden Fates. Everyone's blowing me up to cover this topic, so I'm gonna do what I do for every limited modern English release. We're gonna talk about the reality. Is it realistic? Is it probably gonna be limited, just like with Hidden Fates and every other modern English limitation? What's it gonna probably be? So right now, Hidden Fates doesn't have enough supply to meet the demand. It's only been out about a week or so, and because there isn't enough supply in the first run to meet the demand, everyone's hitting the alarms, they're calling the police, shouting from the hilltops. It's the first ever limited modern English set. It's definitely not going to be like Evolutions, where the exact same thing happened. They had to cut orders during the initial couple weeks, and then after that, of course, they had enough supply to keep prices at the same price today that they were 3 years ago. It's not going to be like that. It's not going to be like Generations, where the boxes doubled when only Mew was available because of the Jolteon EX, and then when Celebi and Jirachi and the other boxes were released, the price is literally the same today as it was 3 years ago. Probably not going to be that either. It probably won't be like Roaring Skies or Ancient Origins, where they did an entire reprint years later because Pokemon, who owns the IP, was like, oh yeah, we own that and we can just print more if we want to. Yeah, it probably won't be that either. Or Unbroken Bonds, I talked about a couple months ago when people thought it was allocated because it jumped up above $100. And then they did, what, 3 reprints afterwards, and now it's $90 shipped all day on eBay. Probably won't be like that either. History doesn't matter, it never repeats itself, and all of these moments in time that have existed, we should just ignore and say, yeah, Pokemon owns this. If they know that this is exploding right now and prices are through the roof, yeah, they won't print anymore. The highest grossing media franchise printing more product of their IP, even though it's already happened multiple times. How could it happen now? I mean, that's right. That's the reasonable thing. If I just put this hat on, it all makes sense. So that's my overview. Is that I doubt. I'm gonna hit the X button there. I'm gonna hit that doubt meme. Doubt it's going to be limited. I highly doubt Pokemon is going to not seize the opportunity. They're not going to Carpe Diem and seize the Magikarp during the holidays when people are buying everything and just say, yeah, we're going to print the most popular set. If anything, I think this idea of keeping it allocated in the first wave creates a nice demand. It gets people excited. But the people banking on this being limited, you are literally banking on something that is not only unprecedented, literally every single set before has enough supply to meet the demand. So, that is the current overview for Hidden Fates, just like every other set, is that this will be unprecedented if it's somehow limited. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't care either way. I'm just going to safely get my little microfiber throw blanket, get my little, Snorlax plush, lie down on the side of probability, and just chill out and wait for all this hype to calm down. Now, when we're talking about hype, don't worry, there's plenty of specifics we're going to talk about here with this set. There's a lot of hype happening right now in Modern, and hype's not always bad. Hype is essentially why we're all here. The playground hype, if you want to call it that. I would say that's a great example of organic hype. Kids were excited about the cards back in the 90s, just like kids are excited about pulling a card today in the pack. That's all organic hype, if you will. Right now, we got a lot of inorganic hype. We got a lot of unexamined hype. I got a new little SM Pratt-ism to throw at you. You can't spell hyper rare without hype. There it is, boys. There is the new quote. There's the new t-shirt. I'll print it out so all 5 of you can buy the merch. That is what's happening right now, is we have a lot of hype towards these chase cards. We saw it with Charizard, and we're seeing it right now with the BGS 10 Black Label Charizard. It almost puts me to sleep how ridiculous it is. The Black Label and Black Charizard is very appropriate for the Shade City nonsense that's happening. There's a lot of hype right now around chase cards with a high grade. So, little history lesson back around 2015, give or take, maybe 2014, about 2016, somewhere in there. You had people chasing the full arts in PSA 10 grade, which was fun. When the new set came out, I would say like around Flash Fire, I remember vividly, Flash Fire Charizard PSA 10 full art hit $890 because it was the first one to pop. And then it came down. I remember I sold one around $600 because why? It was genuinely difficult to grade. If anybody messed with the Plasma Storm Charizard, that thing was final level. I've talked about this before, graded probably 30 of those Charizards, 110, and then a bunch of 9s and a bunch of 8s. And these are all pack fresh cards. So you had the difficulty to grade back then. The quality control wasn't like it is today. Where if we fast forward to evolutions, if anything, that was the breaking point. That's when things pivoted. Because before evolutions, the quality control was less, so that chase was organic. It was there was demand. There was a challenge there. But then when evolutions came around, Mega Full Art Charizard was projected to be that next chase card, but then something happened. The quality improved drastically. I mean, we're talking like, it's like modern Japanese print. I mean, this stuff is just beautiful now. So Evolution's Charizard, I think it's one of the highest graded Pokemon cards in the entire hobby. It has over 2,000 PSA 10 examples. Keep that in context. A card that's 3 years old has 2,000 PSA 10 examples. The ratios speak for themselves. It's actually a nice comprehensive breakdown of what condition you can expect from pulling a card from a pack. So, that is what you're looking at here with Hidden Fates. The cards are printed well. I'd even put them above something like Burning Shadows. While Burning Shadows was an improvement from like the Flashfire era, it is not even close to what Hidden Fates is. Hidden Fates is just clean. Majority of this stuff is pristine. That's why within 6 days of the set being released, you have a black label of the Charizard. Now, while the card's cool and the grade is obviously the best, we're talking 6 days in the limited alarmist, allocated release, and you already have a black label. Just do the math. If it's apparently limited, it's only been 6 days, you have a black label, what's the obvious answer here? Condition is good. So, therefore, this idea of collecting the highest card, or the chase card with the highest grade, is nothing new. We did it before PSA 10. I think now it's been bumped up to BGS 10 Black Label, which I have my own opinions on that. Maybe I'll do a little rant in this video, who knows. But at the end of the day, it's the new tier, because BGS Black Label is the highest thing you can get now, and that's what people do. They try to get the first one, and they try to hype it up and flip it. More power to you. If someone wants to buy that card, that's your choice. But again, you can't spell hyper rare without hype. There's so much hype in those cards where if you bought, let's say, even if we want to stick to Black Label, which it doesn't exist yet, but a Black Label first edition base Charizard, obviously that thing would be nuts because it's actually difficult to grade. Go look at the percentages on that card. The first edition base pop report is hands down the most comprehensive pop report in all of Pokemon. So you get a great detail of the condition ratio. So if you had a BGS 10 Black Label of one of those cards, you would be a Magneton. Forget that. You can give me a Caterpie. If I had a Black Label Caterpie, that's something to write home about. I'll take a Black Label first edition based Caterpie over a Black Label whatever hype card's happening right now. Even if the hype card outperforms, I just don't care. I'm subscribed to the Warren Buffett idea, index funds over hedge funds. I subscribe to deduction, logic, and reasoning, and probability. And I just doubt heavily that these cards will consistently not only have an organic demand to that price point, but more importantly, they're being auctioned at the peak of their hype. And I'm just giving you that context, not as a cynic to say it's all terrible and it's all nonsense, but to just give you context that this is a high moment of hype. Especially this card, I think it's $9,000 is making this. If it's going to breach $10,000, $10,000 is getting into the really big stuff in this hobby. You're getting into very scarce historic booster boxes, the lower tier prize trophy cards, like the best stuff. You're starting to flirt with that. So when you're putting all that into a brand new 6-day-old card with a label, if that's what you want, more power to you, but can't spell hyper rare without hype. And now touching on that hyper rare, that Charizard, that was like the previous example of what we're experiencing now. It didn't sell. No surprise. There wasn't payment. And, to defend people on eBay, anyone who has a business, it is irritating. The bane of any store on eBay is the non-paying buyer. But in situations like that, it's very difficult because when you talk about shill bidding, it's not always the seller who's doing it. It's some other interested party who probably has one of these cards, who has one at Beckett, who has one at PSA, and they're like, oh, I want that to do well. So they throw in a bid, and they don't have any intention of paying. This is part of the landscape now for hype, which is, again, why I'm focusing on. When hype is in the market, when it's majority of what you're dealing with, when it's a good chunk of what you're dealing with, these are some of the intangibles that come along with it. So it's not just the initial aspect of hype. You have all these little like those little cleaner animals in the ocean that clean the whales, all these little critters that are part of the hype ecosystem. You have all these other little intangibles that are part of the problem when hype is in, when it's the major focus here. So that's my take for the BGS 10 Charizard. It's something I would never touch. I have no interest in that stuff. It's easily replicable. That's my issue. You can't find me an oasis of Pika rings. I'm not even going to go up to Illustrator and all that. We'll stay down here with the prize cards, the stuff you can actually buy for 10K that is genuinely rare. You can't find an oasis of that. You can't go buy in a store and hit buy it now just a load of booster boxes or a load of all that type of thing. You can't. But this type of item, it's been 6 days. There's already one out there. Probability says there's probably going to be another. So that's my take on the BGS 10. And just to finish, Hidden Fates. It's not really that hidden. I think it's going to be more the same. I can't imagine a company like Pokemon or anybody. Just imagine yourself if you owned an IP that was blowing up and customer base is saying, we want more of this. Who's not going to be like, okay, I'll give you more? Who would just be like, nah, we're good. I don't want to take that market share that I've created and earned. Why would I ever do that? It's the obvious answer. I don't subscribe to alarmism. I'm not an alarmist. I don't do any of that. It's just too much noise. I don't have time for it. At the end of the day, this is where I am, is probability. Look at the history. If history repeats itself, if it means anything, it's probably going to get some type of print or some type of other product release later on. I mean, it took 9 months to get here for Hidden Fates, so just don't hold your breath. That's all I'd say. Don't bank on hype. Can't spell hype rare without hype. Got to get that in there one more time. So there you go, guys. That's what I have for this. Let me know what you think. I know most people probably are frustrated. I know on E4 there's like every day there's a new Hidden Fates thread because it's the talk of the town right now. Let me know where you stand. Let me know if you care, you don't, you like it, you enjoy it. At the end of the day, I just love observing this stuff. Of course, it's just my opinion. But there it is, guys. You know the deal. Till next time.